All right, Fiora, Taric. Bastion got a huge buff in the most recent patch. Not only is the spell shield no longer temporary, it's permanent, but it also grants +1/+1. Fiora, for people that haven't seen, is a champion that works very well with both protection and pump spells. So she levels up when she's killed 2 enemies, and she has the challenger mechanic here to make her force things to block her. And then her leveled mode here says, when I've killed 4+ enemies and survived, you win the game outright. So this deck is playing Taric as our secondary champion, which is another champion that works very well with our protective spells. So when Taric supports an ally, he not only gives himself and that ally tough, but he recasts the most recent spell played on Taric on the ally 2 that he's supporting. So he can double up things like Bastion, Zenith Blade, Riposte, stuff like that. Hello, oldest son. What's up? Oh, there's a big spider in your train room? Okay, you can watch your show on your break on your tablet, and I will take care of the spider after I'm done working today, okay? You could also just ignore the spider. The spider's not going to hurt you. But you could also just take a tablet and go in the other room, I promise, okay? I promise. I promise to de-spider your room after I'm done working today. I understand your son, the spider cannot be ignored. You can have that one. It is a voucher for Star City Games Knoxville Open to get a free playmat that your dad forgot to cash in and get the free playmat from. Zed Lee Sin. So much value spewed. Yeah, they're only valid that weekend. Believe it or not, I have a few of those lying around that I forgot to cash in. We're attacking on evens. So actually, I think because I'm attacking on evens, I'm going to keep Mentor the Stones here. And we'll plan to, like, Mentor on their 3, Fiora on 4 attack and Mentor it. Sounds good. Oh, right. War Chefs is only one attack now. I don't think I've played this card since they nerfed him.
We each hold a world within.
Speak, stars. Speak, I say.
I think I actually play Fiora now, so that way if they attack, I get to eat something and get her first point. So this is going to grant this +2/+2 permanently, but this is going to give Fiora her first point. Did you play any of the Pick Band Gauntlet? So I actually didn't get to play any of the Pick Band Gauntlet, but I agree that the structure of that Pick Band Gauntlet is A+, and I really, really hope that the structure of that becomes the official tournament format or whatever you want to call it for Runeterra. I think Riot did a really good job at structuring that. I think they did a good job of encouraging deck diversity for people while not locking people out of playing combinations that they love. Yeah, the fan-made mode in an attempt to create diversity was incredibly limiting in a very bad way, in my opinion. So I think the fans that made that mode obviously meant well, but the result was not good. Well-intentioned, but in reality did not end up being ideal.
Looking into the future, I see purple.
Purple? So, I think I'm actually going to go ahead and attack with this Mentor onto here and hook this Eye of the Dragon. Obviously, this has a barrier, but this grants a bonus, and this making gems to heal her back up is also pretty fine for me. So So I'm basically turning her into a 6-2 at this attack by giving this up, which is nice.
What is gained when we return malevolence?
I think only having that pick ban mode for ranked would be bad, but I think offering that pick ban mode for ranked is fine. I think if that was one of the options, that would be okay. Do I want to try and kill this before they can play gems? What are the odds they have 2 1-mana burst spells that aren't gems? Low? I think I'm going to Guiding Touch here, and then I'm going to go ahead and single combat. Because remember, they can't respond with these.
This will be quick. I have no equal. Not all mean well. Breathe in, breathe out.
Huh? If I just give her Overwhelm here? I think I just give her Overwhelm here, right? And the fact that Hush makes a 4-cost Hush means that my opponent can't double Hush to wipe this out this turn, which is great because I only have 6 mana.
Oh, floaty crystal.
Try me.
So obviously the 2-1's gonna hop in front of here, but then that'll crack some gems open that we can heal Fiora with. Okay, we're 1 away. Jacob, buddy, I need you to go upstairs. You can't just be dismantling my office wall, okay? I love you, but please go upstairs with your mom. You may take those cards. Just don't lose them. Yes. You may take those upstairs with you. Just do not lose them. Thank you. He's just like still unstacking boxes off my shelf. My office is a little bit of a disaster, but it's like manageable when there's not a six-year-old unstacking things that are around the room. I'm not gonna claim that it's some kind of beacon of purity, but it's generally speaking manageable. He means well. He's just curious. He's currently back on a Yu-Gi-Oh kick for what he's watching on Netflix. So he's like super into card games at the moment. So like there's miscellaneous Magic cards and Warhammer cards and other stuff in my office that he's like picking through. I have an actual box of Yu-Gi-Oh cards around here somewhere. I need to dig out for him again. Dream in America. Thank you for the entire year of support. Let's get your sword to go with that shield. Instead of me telling you why I'm continuing to play War Chefs, can you tell me what I should be playing instead? What should I replace it with, and why is that a good thing to replace it with?
For a worthy opponent.
I think we're just holding up Riposte here. I think War Chefs is still a fine card. We've got War Chef still fine with Fleet Feather Tracker. It's still reasonable with Fiora.
So,
Gonna go ahead and riposte here. Give ourselves a barrier.
The mountain endures.
I think it's a good time to do that, Dream. At the end of the day, like, all the complaining people are doing about, like, them messing up standard and not managing their formats and the other things that are a crap show and Arena getting progressively worse, like, at the end of the day, telling them all of those things, but then continuing to give them money and time, it's just like, I don't know. I think it's the right consumer thing to do, even if it costs me a little bit of money to do it, and I think we'll just be happier taking a break from it. I think my relationship with Magic is pretty toxic. I think a lot of people have a pretty toxic relationship with Wizards and just don't realize it. They're just so invested in it. Shen Fiora. So this archetype tends to be aggressive. I'm attacking on odds. God, I kind of want to keep the Mountain Sojourners. I'm going to be greedy and keep those. I have the Mentor of the Stones to pair with it. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of people that have an incredible sunk cost fallacy on why they continue playing Magic. Yeah, it's a mixture of Stockholm and sunk cost. Big agree.
mystical levitation requires concentration.
Great. We're going to see Mountain Sojourners here do some good, hopefully. We're going to get to play another one of these. And then next turn we'll get to do this and pump up the GM.
Nature blesses her followers.
I'm glad you're enjoying it, Highwind. Runeterra is really great.
I'm mad about gems.
I can see that.
Be nice.
Just a little farther. Brace yourselves.
And remember, this is Grant and these are Grant. So the stat line on all of these units right now is a permanent bonus.
An imbalance.
Nature blesses her followers.
A delicious challenge.
We just do this.
Balance favors you.
Huh? Think I'm just gonna hush this? I guess I could hush this to eat this. I don't hate that. Because this is going to live regardless, so I think that's fine. Outside of a rally, I like not hushing this. I think I'm just banking spell mana this turn. Yeah, usually they don't play rally, is accurate. Well, this doesn't stop me from dying, but this doesn't stop this from dying, but it does kill the Shen, so I think that's fine. Yeah, Hush nerf showing up again. Like, had this been pre-nerf Hush, we would have been able to wipe this out here, too.
Indeed, I am both.
Hands up now. Hold tight.
That's the plan.
Life for these lands. Nature blesses her followers.
Regizu, they were banned for doing the typical Twitch chant, why you not playing Magic, streamer? So, if they'd like to hang out for non-Magic games, feel free to unban them, but I figured if they were upset I wasn't playing Magic, they weren't going to be very happy here anyways, so decided to save them from themselves. Yeah, I played a little bit of Haxity, before accepting the sponsored segment, and it seems reasonable. It's neat that it has a player versus player component, which is what we're going to be highlighting today. Well, Judgement doesn't do anything to start, right? Because it has to only battle striking enemies. So let's start with this and see what they do.
Nature blesses her followers.
So these will bounce off each other now. So now I get to put this here, and then I single combat this. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So it seems pretty good so far. I mean, for the record, I don't fault people for, like, wanting to see a specific game, but, like, if you want to see a specific game, don't, like, come into my channel and complain that I'm not playing the game you want to see, right? Just like, there are plenty of great people making plenty of great stuff on Twitch. Like, go watch someone that's playing the game you want to see. Don't come into my channel and complain that I'm playing something that I like instead of what you want to see. Like, I don't expect all of my Magic audience to come with me when I do variety stuff or Runeterra stuff. I hope people check it out, but, like, if it's not for them, it's not for them. Or if they don't want to try new things, that's their prerogative. But I also, like, I'm not going to tolerate people that are just, like, not understanding that they can change the channel on their TV. Swain Twisted Fate, something mid-rangey. Actually, Fleet Feather Tracker is probably pretty bad against the Make It Rain deck too, so I'm going to mulligan that as well. Yeah, definitely, Fox. 100%. And I am going to make a note that I need to order a nice capture card. When that one will probably be at least a week before I get to it, because I need to order a capture card so I can stream from the Switch, but I've been meaning to do that anyways. I should finally do it. It's a game you need to sink a lot of money into for a decent deck. It's not, actually. So, Riot, unlike Blizzard and Wizards and all these other companies, isn't trying to fleece you to get cards. So, you get to buy exactly the cards you want directly in Runeterra. Runeterra has the most friendly player economy of any card game I've ever played ever. It's very refreshing. Brr. Buy the cards you want? You mean you want a secondary market? No, I want the company that makes the cards to make them on demand and print me out exactly the ones I want when I want them at a fair price. Secondary markets blow. That sounds complicated. Best I can do is secondary market.
Each life a rare jewel.
Culling strike. Rude.
I dim.
Do I play Taric and just try and get him going? I think so. Because if they don't kill Taric here, I can Guiding Touch him, and then he'll Guiding Touch this. There's some value to playing Mountain Sojourners, though. Because, like, Mountain Sojourners would give her +2/+2 permanently.
Shatter that.
Try me.
So obviously Guiding Touch doesn't do anything for him, but he recasts it on Fiora, which then lets us draw an extra card here too, which is great.
Too easy.
Wow. Wow, no plays on 6 mana. What are you doing over there with yourself? Man, this Guiding Touch is about to make their Ravenous Flock really sad.
Well, and good luck on your journey.
Why can't their cards be played against Fiora?
This is rather dull.
I mean, they just have to spend a card to get through the spell shield. Like, I spent a card giving it spell shield. They have to spend a card to get through it. It's a 1-for-1. So this only deals damage if my thing is damaged or stunned. That's true. I can't win with Fiora if they don't play units, is accurate. Well, that's unfortunate. So this is a good example of how Runeterra's stack differs from Magic. Is once I press OK, this whole stack just resolves. I don't get an opportunity to let this resolve, then heal my thing again before this. So my Taric is unfortunately going to die here. What's up, Chubb? What do you need spelled? Glitter Force? There's Glitter Force. Enjoy.
Flavor and spice.
Alright, so do we play this out to get it going? We probably just open on attacks, right? This is a pretty good open on attacks. These are both getting +2/+2 permanently.
Eat up, friend.
Correct, Waffle. It also draws a card too, which is great. Fiora is a hungry, hungry girl, chat.
This will be quick.
Alright, one more. One more and we're done.
Tell me, Sage, what does my future hold?
Vision hazy. Please ask again later.
Yeah, feel free, Red Link.
Never lost a fair game or played one.
So she has +1, +1, and +2, +2. So if I do Guiding Touch, she's full health, right? Is there a way to see her full health anywhere? I don't think there is, but this works, right? Yeah, okay. That's why I thought that was the case. That's why I spent 2 gems on her to play around that. She is currently an I win button. She's killed 3 things.
Get up now.
On guard.
No one goes hungry.
1 animation, please. I appreciate you, Devilish Dragon. I appreciate the Fiora animation for the viewers at home. Our opponent's a true hero. I have my GG emote. Let's put some more other fun emotes up here. I don't have a sweating emote up here either. Jump. So it's funny, I shared this on Discord the other day, but not everybody here is on there, and it's really adorable. So, Declan, my children have cell phones, don't judge me. They're 5 and they're 6, they watch shows on their cell phones. But anyways, aside from that, and asking you not to judge me, Declan, believe it or not, he frequently misplaces his cell phone around the house. And because they're on a family plan, Google has a thing where you can make their phone make noise, assuming it still has battery. So, Declan and I have now worked out a deal where he was misplacing it so often I told him I wasn't ringing it anymore. But we've now started where if he cleans something, he gets his phone. I will ring his phone for him. So I get to now know if he starts cleaning something, he's going to be asking me to ring his phone momentarily that he has misplaced somewhere.
No one gets in my way.
What punishes block plus Bastion there? So they have the Blade's Edge to break the spell shield off the Bastion. So I don't really want Fiora to go to 1 toughness without spell shield. So I think it's better just let them have bounce their Katrina here. Our Pie, thank you for the entire year of support. Let's get you a sword to go with their shield. Thanks for keeping me around. Oh yeah, and she goes back to hand, right? Yeah, once I've struck recall, yeah, we wouldn't have killed her. Good call. I mean, I knew exactly how that worked, and I was testing chat, and some of you failed. You should be embarrassed. I definitely knew how that worked and was playing around it, though.
Looking into the future, I see purple.
Purple? This is aggressive, but I think it's right.
I never hold that.
Brittle steel's pretty good. Maka art. Give me a timeout. Sounds good. I also, for the record, Logan, I don't pay for phone numbers for them. They're literally just like tiny tablets that are connected to our Wi-Fi. And like when we go out to like play Pokemon Go together as a family, we like turn on our mobile hotspot, my wife and I.
I'm mad about gems.
I can see that.
Be nice.
Many wild cards for one deck. Looks fun, fairly new to TCGs. I think the Scouts aggro deck is my #1 recommended. You should pick this deck up to start deck. It's both very powerful and has a lot of interesting lines of play in it. I think the Pirate aggro is maybe a little bit more powerful, but I think the play patterns are a lot less interesting.
Keep going.
Yeah, like...
Brace yourselves.
My wife and I usually each upgrade our own personal phone every other year. So, like, I have a OnePlus 8, she has a OnePlus 7, and then, like, Jake and Declan have our old OnePlus 6 and OnePlus 5.
Fire knows its own.
How have you been finding the lore in Runeterra? I like the IP a lot. I think the artwork in this game is phenomenal. And I think the IP is a lot of fun. Zeckles, thanks for the 12 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. Thanks for keeping me around. What's the resource system for this game? So, the resource system has a linear progression similar to Hearthstone, with the twist that you can save mana across turns up to 3 extra mana, which is a really ingenious system in my opinion, because it, what's the word that I'm searching for? It reduces tempo variance that games like both Hearthstone and Magic tend to have, where like you don't make a play on 2 or you don't make a play on 3, and your opponent just buries you because they used their mana and you didn't. We're just gonna rally again and kill them, right? That was a silly game. So, the rally mechanic gives you an extra attack if you don't currently have one.
I have no equal. Another victory for House Laurent.
This one's really sweet. Yeah, I don't really keep track of a record while playing, but this one's been fun. It's felt powerful. Fiora is a sweet card in general. Mountain Sojourners has been impressive so far. Someone asked about why we're playing War Chefs. Mountain Sojourners making things like War Chefs better is definitely a real thing as well. Yes, yeah, that was a turn 6 win without using the Fiora alt text. Zed Lee Sin. I think I'm just keeping this hand. Seems fine. I don't know, the news, we like kind of talked about it, Magical, but it's just like not surprising, right? Like, Trump's literally been hosting a super spreader tour with lots of people, and he's telling people not to wear masks, and he's making fun of people who are wearing masks, so like, it's refreshing to see our giant orange dictator reap what he's sown. One of the terrible things about COVID as a disease is that people who are being reckless about respecting COVID are largely hurting people other than themselves. So it's nice to see a little bit of justice in the world, where someone who's hurting a lot of other people with reckless COVID stuff is hurting themselves instead. Like, I'd prefer it if no one died, but if you are gonna make me pick people to die, I'd rather people get sick and die who aren't being careful about this. I would rather people reap the repercussions of their own actions other than innocent people like children reaping the repercussions of the actions of awful people. It's definitely a good example of play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Agree. Do I want to grant Fiora here? Yeah, I think so. And I think I plan to Pale Cascade this to trade here. So I believe he actually has it. I also think that's up for debate too. Yeah, the super jaded and probably realistic outlook is that, like, he could be faking it for a variety of reasons. Just get her healed back up here right away. Herman Cain, yep. He could be faking it so he doesn't have to do the next debate. He could be faking it so he could recover and continue to downplay the whole thing and say, hey, look, I recovered. This really isn't a big deal, even though it is. There's just a lot of awful surrounding it. We just let this die. I could burn a riposte here, but I kind of want to bank this spell mana and go like Taric, riposte my Taric attack. We have 9 total mana here.
I'm ready to shine.
Conflict is all in the mind.
And strike.
Sharp. Never submit.
I'll see this through.
So like, I basically just have to hope there's no Hush here because I can't beat a Hush, right? Like, they're gonna combo kill me next turn, most likely. And I don't have any way to interact with this. This was difficult to interact with before Bastion started giving it spell shield permanently, and now it's like pretty impossible. Yeah, they're gonna do this, they're gonna cast some other spells, they're gonna give it 10 power, they're gonna kill me from 18. Or kill me from 20 if I heal.
Outrageous.
I think that attack, it feels bad to run into the Hush there, but I think it's correct to take the attack and make them have it. Yeah, I'd be pretty surprised if Lee Sin makes it through the next patch without a change. And again, just to reiterate my position, I don't actually think Bastion itself is a problem. I think the way Lee Sin is designed currently is a problem. I think even if Bastion is different, Lee Sin's still pretty offensive. That being said, there's still plenty of variety on the ladder. Lee Sin's been like 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 matches at most. Darius Misfortune. It's definitely something aggressive. I think I'm going to mulligan everything but this Mountain Goat. Looking for some cheap things. A Fiora in our opener would be great against something aggressive. I think you can make him see the spells cast. I also think just making him more interactable inside of combat. Yeah, my number one suggestion is one that I made that I think is the best way you could keep Lee Sin the same. I think they should change Lee Sin from barrier to quick attack. I think the card's a lot more balanced if you can just kill it with challengers. Yeah, the barrier is the big reason you can't interact with the card. 110%. I think even before it was getting Spell Shield, it was pretty brutal, Kicker. Like I said, I don't know that Bastion, like Bastion obviously made the deck better, but I think it was still pretty good even before that. And again, even not just talking about power level, but just like play patterns, right? Great, well, now we're passing. Enjoy your ephemeral.
Always 2 steps ahead.
I think quick attack is on too many champions. That's a really arbitrary line to have. I actually think quick attack's a really sweet keyword for champions specifically, because it makes them good in combat but not overbearing, because you can, like, they're not great on defense. I also think quick attack's a great keyword because it forces games to end without creating board stalemates, generally speaking. Alright, so do I want to mentor the stones this turn or Taric? I think I want to mentor, although it could be right to just Taric and then Bastion. Yeah, I'm a liar. Let's Taric Bastion.
I am here.
No, I want to Taric Bastion this turn, I think. Do I want to draw 2? Okay, I also kind of want to draw 2. It's so tough, Precipic. It's so tough. I want to do all of the things.
Stand resolute. Shatter them.
On guard.
On guard.
Unyielding.
I think it's right to Bastion first. It's way less fun. It's definitely less fun.
Gotta go with the flow.
Oh, I should probably play Fleet Feather Tracker there.
Let's do this.
Yeah, the event for tomorrow is canceled. If you didn't see my status update, I'm taking a little bit of a magic hiatus.
Sure, you're all shiny and majestic, but can you float?
I could certainly try.
Lock the doors.
Try me.
Lost in reflection. Never submit. Unyielding. There is nowhere left to go but up.
Poor thing.
It's gorgeous, Mr. 3000. The animations are just so good. Yeah, great to get burned out here, unfortunately. This is gonna put us to 3, and then we're dead to a lot at the moment, unfortunately. I can draw a heal too. Go spin a cigar.
We will regain what we have lost.
How does this compare to Shen Fiora? I'm gonna be honest, I haven't played much any Shen Fiora Bobmaster, so I don't really have a good baseline for that comparison. Yeah, seems pretty good. I think that's probably an accurate assessment, having played against Shen Fiora a little bit. Our deck definitely seems like it's a little bit better at triggering the Fiora alt text. Whereas Shen Fiora tends to play her as more as just like a value board control card. Am I playing this? I'm not actually. We'll see what they do. If they play out a 2-drop, I might play out my 1-3 if it has profitable blocks. I think I don't mind just banking spell mana here though.
Looking for trouble? It found you. Save your worlds. We speak with blades. Time for violence. Mwah.
I'm ready to shine.
I'm not greedy. My friends, though.
We Zenith Blade here, and then we'll attack and put that over on Fiora. It's been a while since I've seen you, Mr. Grifter.
Try me.
Unyielding.
I'll be damned.
Gosh, Guiding Touch is so good with her too.
for a show.
I think I'm just gonna pass here. I think there's a good chance they just pass and end the turn, but I'm okay with that. I'm only losing 2 mana.
Who likes their runs, eh?
Boys. Fade and be gone.
You'll move.
I think we just do this. I don't want to put it on Fiora and block her because of, like, Make It Rain. I think this feels okay. Yeah, they had to Make It Rain. So this means, and Taric's not dead yet. Now, do they have a parlay to finish Taric here is the question. They do not. Sick. Okay, so do I Mountain Sojourners or do I just Guiding Touch attack? I think I want a Mountain Sojourners. Giving both these +2/+2 seems good.
You're Taric, the Protector.
Climb well, and good luck on your journey.
How close are we to level up? 4 out of 7. What it just concedes? Deal. We take those.
Beautiful.
B-E-A.
Admire me later.
Beautiful. Alright, we mulligan for threats, and we found threats. Ash to Johnny here. This is probably a game where we're gonna want a Fiora with Bastion up on 3. You think that's the plan? We'll see what they do. They play a 2-drop out here. I'll probably play a goat.
Took the bait.
Save your world. We speak with blades.
Hot on the trail.
So this is a brittle steel.
Fine style.
But I get to do this. How's this deck been so far? Super reasonable. Oh, it's an elixir. Okay. Cute. Slightly worse for me. It's a lot of spell shield hanging out, though.
Faster than my arrow? I think not.
I have another Fiora here. Is it crazy to trade this for Ash? You want me to pale Fiora and kill the 1/1? I don't think so. That doesn't level her.
I long for a
I think I want to trade for the Ash.
strike quickly. Oh god.
I'm like giving up the spell shield from the Bastion, but I like have another Bastion, so I think that's fine. I think cleaning the board out like this is a good exchange for us. Hey, afternoon, Jin.
Peasants.
get us to the peak, no matter what it takes.
No matter what it takes.
Stand together.
So, how do we feel about Bird into second Sojourners? I think I'm into it. Today's bits are brought to you by irony-induced happiness. God bless us, everyone.
No breaks till the next cliff top.
Uh-huh.
The War Mother will unite us all.
The War Mother will unite us all.
Stay focused.
So they get to eat the 2-5, but I trade for a 6-6, and I end up with the 4-7, so I think this attack is right.
Yourselves.
This is our homeland.
Keep climbing.
Up there in the mountains!
They would fall by my blade.
A true Freljordian welcome.
Tell me, Sage, what does my future hold?
Think we're dead, chat.
Vision hazy. Please ask again later.
Today we fight as one.
Wait.
For what?
They're not quite lethal yet, but they're super close. Good, they can put me to 2 there.
Flavor and spice.
Yeah, this one's been super reasonable, Tobias.
Gotcha.
Maybe a little bit soft to other aggressive decks, but pretty decent overall.
Try me.
Eat up, friend.
Laurent Protege. Maybe, I don't know.
Bow to no one.
Three mana is just a lot. Like, I feel like the games that we're losing were largely losing due to the fact that they like get on board quicker than we do. Also, like, Protege just like doesn't help us here in this type of go bigger aggressive matchup rate. Yeah, I think we're just dead here. I could draw Judgment. That's not quite enough though, because this has Overwhelm, right? If we hit Judgment, we're close, but not quite.
Learn, change, re-engage.
Learn, change, re-engage. Traveler. Traveler's okay. The fact that Traveler is a permanent, is a grant bonus is a big deal. I can definitely see that being reasonable. I like that War Chefs helps Fleet Feather Tracker trade up, though. No, thank you. Thanks for dropping by, Elohim. I'm just playing Swain, Twisted Fate here. Definitely don't want these to start. I think I might mulligan everything but Taric, looking for some lower curve stuff. Brightsteel Protector could be a reasonable suggestion. Might be right to keep single combat against the Twisted Fate deck. This curve's real nice.
Flavor and spice.
I guess it's like worth noting here, if this had been the Traveler, we would get to have this challenge this and not die this turn, which would be nice. Something worth noting. Playing this might be wrong against the Make It Rain deck. Hashtag sometimes lucky.
Be Demacia. Eyes bigger. Feel the sizzle. Can't fight on an empty stomach.
Why these support decks don't work consistently? Well, the Lulu Demacia deck is definitely a tiered deck.
Round or two. Something for all.
So generally speaking, keep your anecdotes out of my chat. If you want to explain why you think something doesn't work, that's fine. But don't just, like, allude to it like this is something obvious that everyone should know. Because if it was obvious and everyone knows it, you shouldn't have to allude to it. We just shouldn't be talking about it. So in general, feel free to generate discussions and help people learn. But don't just be like, obviously these don't work, duh.
The fight never ends.
This Bastion is above average, maybe. Depends on if they have another way to break the spell shield here. If they break the spell shield, I'm gonna feel bad. Or just killing that instead, sure. That's sad. Am I willing to trade this for points on these? Yeah, I think so. You know, we don't have a lot left over here. The Lulu deck is rolled out. Fiora still has a bunch of support stuff in it, though.
I long for a worthy opponent.
We don't have Lululytics. We think Shen Fiora tends to be the better version. Sure, yeah, those archetypes are similar, and not having redundant things that are similar up there makes sense. If you copy Taric's Blessing, do you shuffle 2 in? You do. So in fact, we're going to go ahead and open on that because this is the burst spell. So we'll give this +3/+3 permanently. We'll attack. He'll give her +3/+3 permanently. We'll make them both tough. We'll put another Taric in her deck. Rude. Oh, was I supposed to single combat at Twisted Fate? Yeah, I wasn't thinking about this. I think we're dead now. I don't know. I think we're dead anyways. We got kind of picked apart here.
This will be quick.
They've got 5, like, the board's at parity, obviously, but they've got 5 cards in hand. We don't really have the catch-up mechanic at this point. Yeah, so I can make the next Fiora be leveled, but, like, getting 2 for 1 here is a big deal. Even if I had single combated there, we're still pretty far behind. Maybe the 6/6 Fiora gets us out of it. This is a really good example of how you really shouldn't judge a matchup just by, like, watching one game of it. Like, we played this matchup earlier, and we ended up winning it, and someone in chat was talking about how this matchup was basically unwinnable for the opponent's archetype. Just, like, really couldn't be further from the truth. How do they handle spoilers? Usually they post official spoilers up on their Twitter stuff. Last time they had a group of creators, myself included, all spoil some of the Invoke cards, the Celestial cards.
Eyes open.
Yeah, we are supposed to be getting another little batch of Call the Mountain stuff soon. What is our deck? Our deck is kind of tempo's accurate. We're like an aggressive combo deck. So Fiora is an alt win condition. It's definitely a very combo-esque card, but we also just like beat people down sometimes. It depends on what you have in hand. Yes! The way how a match plays out is frequently dictated by the cards you draw during it. That is accurate. Which is why, if there's a lot of ways a match can play out, you shouldn't judge it just by watching it happen one time. And generally speaking, that's not a good plan. I don't think we have a release date yet. I think best of 1 is fine for this game, or do you see best of 3 as sideboard? So, I don't think sideboards really make sense or are great, Bob, but They recently tested an in-game mode that was a 3-deck tournament mode where each player brings 3 decks. You see the opponent's champions and factions, and you each ban a deck, and then you can play best of 3 with the other 2. And I expect that bring 3, pick 1 ban to be the tournament format, I would imagine. Lulu Jinx. It's kind of a sweet brew. Definitely something aggressive. Gonna mulligan these 2, keep Taric Guiding Touch. And in general, for ladder play in Runeterra, I don't think not having best of 3 isn't really a big deal for the ladder in this game, because unlike games like Magic, Runeterra doesn't have a bunch of non-games, right? Like, I think best of 3 is really important for Magic's ladder experience, because there's a ton of games where, in Magic, where one person just literally doesn't play, and those games don't really exist in Runeterra. If your decks are reasonable and you're playing even okay, every game of Runeterra is at least somewhat competitive. Obviously, if you're brewing and you're working on something and it's bad or you mulligan poorly, you can get run over sometimes, but in general, I think they handle it well. I think there's a lot of more competitive games than less. My opponent has some Poros, chat.
Strength in grace, beauty in the blade.
Who's ready to hunt some Poros, chat? Whee! So these are elusive, so I cannot block them. This is wrong. I should have gemmed here first to play around Mystic Shot. That's unfortunate. Can only give her +1 toughness here. So opponent's blown their load here. They're out of resources.
Jinx? Stands for Jinx? Durr.
Stands for Jinx. Durr. Why should I play Taric first? Can you explain? What's the benefit?
Don't worry, I am here. Fade and be gone.
Last round to protect Fiora. Playing Taric last round to protect Fiora didn't work because they had Get Excited in their hand. So if I play Fiora, if I play Taric, they just Get Excited and kill my Fiora in response. Well, if they play the last card out of their hand, she levels, right, Precipic? That's what this attack is. This attack is I'm leveling my Jinx. I think I have to call, though. I don't know. It's tough. Like, the problem is that, like, I don't know that I can beat level Jinx going to 8. I think I'm obligated to call there. Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing, right? Like, that attack represents a bluff, but then I have to ask myself, like, can I beat the bluff? Yeah, they probably should have done that.
You're Taric, the Protector.
Climb well, and good luck on your journey.
Boo. This poor guiding touch has been just 1 point short of being useful so many times now. Getting some spell mana here. This rally should let us get him this turn nicely. Yeah, their last card was Get Excited. Yeah. So I have 9 total mana. So I can go Fleet Feather, Mentor, Relentless, and then still Pale Cascade.
Tell me, Sage, what does my future hold?
Vision hazy. Please ask again later.
Fiora deck good against tiny unit deck. It's weird. Weird. Although we didn't win with leveling Fiora, we just kind of like picked their stuff apart. Afternoon, Jace. Who'da thunk? Twisted Fizz, eh? Why must you come hurt me with the thing that I love? Definitely bottoming Riposte. Hush sounds great in this matchup. I think I'm just mulliganing, looking for Fiora. It's not a great hand. Got a couple of draws here at least. Nailed it. Never didn't have it. MTG Goldfish posted a massive article right now criticizing Magic's current state. That's great. And I quote, Magic is more profitable than it's ever been, so MTG's Goldfish criticism largely doesn't matter and will fall on deaf ears. The only thing that matters is the profit margins, and the profit margins are good.
Save your worlds. We speak with blades.
We speak with blades.
Gems are superb. Bad for the teeth, though.
Bad for the teeth, though.
Oh, floaty crystal.
No.
This would be a good winter.
I'm burning this here. I might regret that later. Hey, that's a good title. They're correct. So one of the problems is too though, it can't just be your money, right? Like with games like Arena, giving them your time is giving them your money. So it's definitely not just as simple as okay, stop spending. Like if you're engaging with the system, they're still happy with what you're doing. I think we Mountain Sojourners here to get set up for next turn.
Mad about gems.
I can see that.
Be nice.
Let's do this.
Blessed by snow and stars.
Now the question is, do I want to open on attacks next turn, or do I want to play this out? I think I want to play this out. I need to force some blocks here. That being said, like, Fiora here is already at 1 out of 2. So maybe I'm just supposed to start by attacking and use these single combats this turn.
Just a little farther.
Try me.
I think this is the plan.
We live here.
Yeah, Flaming Swag, if people ask to be unbanned, I just ask that you, like, open their message history and make sure that there's not anything blatantly, you know, racist or offensive in there. And if there's not, you can always unban people. If you type /user and then the username in chat, you can see their message history.
I have no equal.
But yeah, generally speaking, I unban anybody that didn't do anything strictly offensive.
Gotta go with the flow.
This would be quick.
This would be a good winter. Ah, an auspicious season.
This matchup's hard for the Fizz deck. Tiny things that die to Fiora are good for the Fiora deck, believe it or not. Yeah, we'll see, Lador.
No match.
My optimism's at an all-time low, which is part of why I'm taking a break. L, thanks for the half year. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. If you're someone that's also been less than content with the state of Magic being a garbage fire, I'd encourage you to check out Runeterra. It's great. It's a lot of fun. Riot is basically managing and doing things with their game that are like everything I've wanted for decades in a card game, and it's super refreshing to just see them do things, just be like, wow, that's something I've always wanted that I didn't think a company would ever do. And it's just like, this is just great. Everything from the economic model being consumer friendly to the way they're balancing the cards, the way they're communicating with the player base. It's really, really a breath of fresh air. Hey, what's going on, Ninja Turtle Jr.? Yeah, and if you're someone who's interested in checking out Runeterra, as much as I want you to be here watching the stream, my #1 recommendation for learning Runeterra is just take 10 minutes and play through as many of the challenge levels after including the tutorial as you can. Like, having a little bit of hands-on experience is super valuable for understanding kind of the back and forth and the turn structure and the resource system. I'm happy to answer specific questions on them if you have them while we're playing, but I don't go super like nitty-gritty fine level. I assume people have some level of base understanding. How much does it cost to get started? You can build any competitive deck in Runeterra outright for less than $30. There's a small selection of Runeterra decks that are even cheaper than that. There's a couple you can build for like $10 that are a mix of either playing fewer champions or using champions that you get for free to get started. But literally any deck in the game can be had for so I was going to bank mana here to play Fiora with single combat up, or like Fiora into Zenith Blade, but since they deployed Elise here and they're attacking this turn, I'm going to go ahead and deploy the goat so they don't get a free attack with the Elise this turn. They're taking the attack, but I'm going to go ahead and get to trade now, which is good. Welcome back to Oglandy, avid Magic player. Do I want to deploy Fiora? I think so.
Grace, beauty in the blade.
I would recommend avoiding Uplift brand is the brand that I have that I haven't been particularly happy with. So I think I single combat here, which then means I can guiding touch Fiora to heal her. No, that doesn't work, right? That doesn't work. I think I just have to take a hit here. Single combat was probably bad. The tough part here is my opponent's deck has a lot of reach in it at this point, like direct damage type things. So the fact they've gotten me down to 7 now is pretty scary. Although I have this rally and this single combat, so we could maybe punk them out this game with Fiora's alt win condition of killing 4 enemies and surviving, especially with the mix of gems and stuff in my hand. Yeah, I keep forgetting Tolarian did a video. Yeah, if you're looking for a how to play video too, Tolarian did an excellent one.
Two down. Remember the objectives.
So if I guiding touch Fiora, I can single combat Fiora this to deny them this. I think that's the play. This game is the most visually appealing card game I've ever played. It's very, very well done. Riot is a real video game company, and it shows. Started playing Runeterra in June, have spent $0, have an 80% collection. Yep. Now, unfortunately for her alt win text, she has to survive the last thing she kills here.
For the Empire. The few for the many.
So, do I just Zenith Blade here? So that way I can block one of their first things in combat and win the game that way when she kills it? I think that's the play, right? So combat resolves left to right in this game. So if they attack with everything, I can block something on the left to win the game. I have Pale Cascade to draw one here.
Such unrefined style.
Really, really close game. Really close game. So again, the second 3-2 would kill me, but because the leftmost combat triggers Fiora, she wins the game. So ordering and combat mattering just adds so many different permutations in Runeterra. It's really satisfying to get to order them correctly. It is sad that they conceded before we got the win animation. It is a little sad. All right, let's do one more game with this, and then we're going to roll on into some Haxity for the rest of the stream, which is a cyberpunk deck building game that's available on Steam. That, unlike a lot of roguelites like Griftlands, other stuff like that, it does have a single-player story mode, but it also has a one-on-one competitive mode that we're going to showcase today on stream with some of their community members. Are there control-based decks in Runeterra? Yeah, if you look on Mobalytics, there's a bunch of decks up there. My personal recommendation for control decks right now is Lux Ash Control is my favorite. If you go to my website and click Runeterra decks, that one's listed up there. There's 5 decks up there, 2 mid-range, 2 aggro, and a control. Opponent is playing Swain Twisted Fate. Aesol Ramp. Aesol Ramp is good too. Yeah, I agree with that. Lux Ash is just my personal favorite. How does Lux Ash usually win? Final Sparks to the face. Usually with a big attack with Ash, Dr. Mr. Bunny. You, like, frostbite their board and punch them for a bunch. So, Logan, Haxity is a sponsored segment, so the company that makes the game is paying me to do a couple hours of it. So, when I do sponsored segments, I like to, a lot of the time I'll do a little bit of a non-sponsored game beforehand to build the audience up. So that way we start with a few hundred people in here for them. So Christy's wrangling school today, so I can do that. Yeah, Haxity will go up on YouTube. Everything that I stream ends up there. It'll be in its own video, so if you're interested in checking that out but can't see it live, it'll definitely end up there.
Gems are superb. Bad for the teeth, though.
Not a dumb question at all. I mean, it's technically variety.
I'm not panicking, you're panicking.
Yeah, I'm not panicking, you're panicking. That's fine. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards in hand. Runeterra has a hard hand size limit of 10. So if you have 10 cards, you go to draw another, you just don't get to draw it. I think I want to kill that now. I've not, Vortal. No, it burns it similar to Hearthstone. It shows you the card and tears it in half. Alright, that's a good pickup after losing the last one. Yeah, much like viewer-sponsored streams, company-sponsored streams, I also say no to on occasion. So, like, games like Haxity or, like, Shapes is another one I took a sponsorship from the company to do. There are games that I've played a little bit of or done some research on, and if they don't look like a game that I'd enjoy, I say no.
Fade and be gone.
Okay, so now, this time through, I'm going to go ahead and double gem this right away. So that way it can't get Ravenous blocked here.
Sure, you're all shiny and majestic, but can you float?
I could certainly try. Stand resolute.
So I think I just let this happen like this. Then after their spell resolves, we'll get priority to attack. And I'll be able to attack with this and buff this up above 4 life so it won't die to Flock. Mixed feelings on that, because they traded their Elusive for it. Feels bad that I don't have anything to grant a bonus to this turn, though. We have a lot of cards in hand, but, like, they're all pump spells. Like, we're all dressed up with nowhere to go at the moment.
Packed 'em good.
Yeah, I don't know that that's beatable. Guess I can save this. Okay. Alright, so you're saying there's a chance.
By my honor, you must die.
By my honor, you must die.
This'll send them running.
Precision and grace.
This might be a bad block. They kind of played like they had Ravenous block earlier.
Everything I
I don't know we're gonna be able to beat that. Like, maybe I could have, like, waited to riposte it at some point. No, as in Doth Haxity is an indie deck building game that's available on Steam that we're going to stream a little bit of. That's why there's a pipe break in between the two. You do, Dr. Jazzin. In fact, the #1 source of draw games in Runeterra is both players drawing from an empty deck.
The few never end.
Celestial power.
The person who submitted Timo Intreat asked if I could push it so they could catch it live next week.
Opposed Noxus.
And I said yes.
Prepare the cargo! There is no excess when victory is at stake.
We just can't beat these two, right? So the core of what is going on here felt pretty reasonable. That being said, games like that last one we just played definitely happened a little bit more than I was a fan of. And what I mean by that specifically is that drop Taric, riposte him. They had leveled Swain, dude, like. Yeah, so I feel like my one comment with this is, oh, I had Rally with 11 mana. Right, I could have attacked that turn. Maybe that's okay. Yeah, I think there's too many spells in this deck. You might be, I think Dude Light's right that I could have forced a block in that last game. Regardless of that last game, I think this deck needs more units in it. I think Pale Cascade seems fine. I think Guiding Touch seems fine. I feel like Zenith Blade is probably overkill. I think 3 Riposte is probably overkill. Judgement may or may not be right. This card's good at blowing people up, but I think at a minimum, I want to cut like those 3 and get 3 more units in here. It might even be right to go down to 0 Riposte, honestly, with Pale Cascade and Guiding Touch and stuff like that. So I don't know exactly what I want to see in here. I don't really feel like Brightsteel Protector is something I want in this build. Press a pick. I think without Shen, that card just doesn't do enough, and 9 mana is a lot of mana. I feel like the aggressive matchups were hard, and I'd like more things that were cheap on the curve. I think Laurent Protege was a fine suggestion from earlier. I also think, Protector, not Formation. Sure. Yeah, twos could be okay. Protector could be fine. I could also see it being worth exploring, Tayari. I think more support units are probably fine. Mountain Sojourners were very impressive at different points. This card also is very good with Fiora because it grants that toughness permanently. So I think that would be reasonable. All right. So with that, that's gonna wrap Runeterra stuff for today. Now, one thing. I had been doing morning streams 7 days a week, but with the kids doing school remotely, that was just ended up being a little bit too much. So Saturday and Sunday, I am not going to be doing any type of stream in the morning. I'm going to be taking Saturday and Sunday morning off. I'll be back on Monday. With some more Runeterra stuff in the morning. I will be doing some variety stuff this evening and over the weekend. In fact, we're gonna do a little bit more variety now. We're gonna play some Haxity, which is a roguelite deck builder. We're gonna play some Hades tonight. We're gonna do some Horizon Zero Dawn over the weekend. But Saturday, Sunday morning, I'm gonna take off so I can play catch up and get some stuff done around the house. But I'll be back with more Runeterra stuff Monday morning. Monday through Friday for all of October. I'm planning to do at least 2 Runeterra decks every morning. Legends of Runeterra match history. We're excited to be adding to Legends of Runeterra match history to the Riot Games API, and we're excited to see the kind of products developers can create using this data. Historically, match history has a high-value source of data that results in a wide variety of products, and as such, we're going to take some time to review the high-level rules that have crystallized into policy as we release match history for Riot Games. In Legends of Runeterra, this means, as one example, encouraging players to tunnel into specific decks rather than exploring various options. We want third-party tools to focus on giving players options and help them explore various archetypes. In card games, there's often a balance between archetypes and helping players understand that balance by finding one option that's strong against another. Legends of Runeterra, this is a little bit different than our other games, and with that in mind, that's one particular area we'd like to focus on: scouting. Scouting in a game like Runeterra creates a strong advantage for a player. It's important that both players play the game on a level playing field, and while tips on how to play against a deck archetype are okay, providing privileged information about a player shifting through their match history isn't. Sounds good, dude. This is, like, again, for the people that are coming from Magic in the audience, like, this is like, okay, so in Runeterra, this would, for example, look like placing enough information in the player's hands that cards and their plays are decided for them by a third-party product. Pushing players to play specific cards and account for specific threats explicitly chips away at player agency, circumvents a key skill, and ultimately, if everyone's following the same list of recommendations, at a high level, giving players tips to think about at the start or end of the game is an experience we think is healthy, while pushing players to act in a specific way during the game. All these concepts are connected and keep coming up for our design discussions, so we want to provide high-level guidance. With that being said, we want to share with you the general structure for Runeterra match history. If you have questions, they have a developer Discord or message us on Twitter. This is what transparency looks like, yeah. So I don't understand what this is telling us exactly. So is this, we're adding match history to the Riot Games API. So does this mean that I'm going to be able to get any match, like all the match history for the game? Yeah, so they're not going to give us player specific information, but so I don't get to find out who's been playing what, but I'm going to get to see all the information about all the decks that are being played. Is that what this is telling me? Yeah, so it's not going to give me a username, but it's giving us deck codes. Yeah, Mobalytics. So, like, Mobalytics, for people that have seen that before, Mobalytics is a, Mobalytics, these metastats here, they have a lot of great data here, but this data depends on people running the Mobalytics desktop client to farm this data. So this data, while it's good and is good sample sizes, it's largely incomplete, right? Yeah, that seems, damn, Riot offering up, yeah, that seems really sweet. I don't have to dig into think about what the other things we could do with that more. Maybe have Christy tweet that out and praise them for it. That's awesome. All right, at any rate, we're going to shift gears and replace some Haxity for the rest of the stream.